Right, question 8. It's about diabetes. Apart from high blood glucose levels state one other symptom of diabetes. You would find glucose in the urine. You would be thirsty a lot. You would urinate a lot. You would have lethargy. You'd feel tired, fatigued, and you'd have low insulin levels. Insulin is essential in the control of blood glucose with reference to insulin. Okay, so you're going to talk about insulin. Explain the difference between type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is when your body or the pancreas, you have to include one of those words, does not produce insulin. Oh, not insulin. Insulin. Type 2 is when your body cells do not respond to insulin. Part 3. Apart from insulin injections, describe one other possible treatment for people with diabetes. So a low sugar or carbohydrate diet. Is one. You could also say pancreatic tissue transplant. You could also say metformin tablets, which are tablets to control glucose levels. Explain how a negative feedback mechanism raises blood glucose levels, so you want more glucose. Okay, 1 mark for mentioning the word pancreas. So the pancreas produces, I prefer the word secretes, it secretes glucagon into the bloodstream, goes to the liver, converts glycogen back, converts back to glucose. There is a point to note that you have to make sure that you spell glucagon and glycogen correctly. You can't be putting something like this on there, glycogon or glycogen, glucagon, whatever. It's got to be the correct spelling, otherwise they will not accept it. Right, I've got the tables, the things the wrong way around here. Okay, so you've got a bunch of these different tables. Okay. And then you've got all children, so I'll make a note of that in a minute. The first part of the question wants you to calculate the ratio of the total number of children and young people with type 1 diabetes against the total number with type 2. Okay, so the total number type 1 is there, the total number of children with type 2 is there. So when you do a ratio, it's important that you get it something to 1. Okay, so take that 584 down to 1, you divide it by 584. You have to do the same thing to this side, so divide 26,323 by 584. You get the number 45.0736301, and then any correct rounding would be fine. So 45.1 would be okay. 45 is also okay. Using table 8.1, 8.2 and 8.3, so all three of the tables state one conclusion that can be drawn on the effect of ethnicity on the percentage of children and young people affected by it. Okay, so this is where nobody seemed to use this table. All children in England and Wales. Okay, so you would expect to see this similar percentage of people in this column if it has no effect. So if for type 1, if you compare white, all the people who are white in England and Wales with the percentage of the sample, you can see that they are very close. Same with the mixed, very close. Same with Asian, pretty close. These are all distributed the same in the entire population and in our sample. So that would show that there is no effect of ethnicity on type 1 prevalence. Okay, using that same kind of logic, with type 2, if you compare them, 86% of the people in England and Wales, all of the children and young people in England and Wales, 86% of them are white. Okay, but of the people that we sampled, only 42.1% of our sample were white people with type 2 diabetes. So that shows that the relative percentage has gone down. So there is an effect of ethnicity on type 2. Being white means that you have a lower prevalence. If you look at mixed, not so much of a change. If you are Asian, there's a massive increase, as well as if black. So ethnicity does have an effect. So in white people, the prevalence is lower. In black people, it's higher. And also in Asian populations, it is higher. D, a politician looking at these data, looking at the number of people in the whole population of Wales and England with type 1 is far higher than the number of type 2. State why this is not valid. In the whole population, this was only looking at young people up to 25. Okay, so you can't say that it includes all people. It might be different if they're older. Last but not least, question on the skin. Okay, but bear in mind is people will do something like this and just label it as such. But in the question, draw labeled arrows to name and identify. So you need to actually name the structure where sweat is produced. That is the sweat gland. And it's found there. A structure which transports blood are capillaries, which are here. There we go. Next question. Okay, so you've got that graph to help you answer this question. Explain the effect that drinking ice cold water had on Gareth between 10 minutes and 30 minutes. So say what the effect is and why it happened. Okay, so first of all, he drank the ice cold water, and then it took about 5 minutes before anything actually changed. Okay, so there's a lag time. And you might notice on your marking is I've put little letters to signify what points you got. Lag time or description of, i.e. it took some time before there was a change in the temperature of any of these structures. Marking point B, after 5 minutes there is a decrease there and there, and those lines stand for internal body temperature and the rate of sweating. So a point for saying there's a decrease in body temperature. Oh, you can't see that. Okay, decrease in body temperature and also a decrease in sweat production. Okay, so if you're going to get colder and you're not going to sweat as much, why is that going to warm you up? Or what effect would that have? Sorry, not why is it going to warm you up? Well, eventually it does, right? Back there. Okay, the effect that would have is less heat will be lost from the skin surface. Okay, so if there's less heat lost from the surface, 2 steps ahead. Less heat will be lost from the skin surface. Why is that the case? Because you've got less sweat there, so due to less evaporation of sweat. Coming back to the point I wanted to skip ahead to, these 2 points here would mean that if there's less heat loss from the surface, there's going to be more heat at the surface. So that's why that line goes up there. The skin temperature increases. And that's it. Hope this helped. See you later.